college football game, Ohio State and Oregon. Boy, talk about big numbers here.
And a big, what a matchup.
Big matchup. Oregon
and a great story, too.
Down to 6.5 now, and the total officially opened 72, but I actually saw some 70 and halves. And it's now up to 75. Everybody in the world is looking at this game.
It'll go up. It'll go up by game time.
It's going to be played in Arlington, Texas. And here's the thing about Urban Meyer. You have to remember, after the 2011 Ohio State season, they were only 6-7. And then he showed up on campus. Well, since then, under his direction, 37-3 overall, 25-1 in Big Ten play. And look at the last two games. They faced number 13 Wisconsin, won 59-0. They just faced number 1 Alabama, won 42-35, both times as dogs, with a third-string quarterback. So, Sean, is there anything that Urban Meyer can't do?
Boy, what a Cinderella story this is. I mean, when Ohio State lost to Virginia Tech early in the season, right, them being in the playoff mix really wasn't discussed much right till the end of the season. And the big deal was TCU and Baylor, and talking heads made a big deal out of all that. And all of a sudden, sneaking in the back door, even though TCU and these teams blew out their opponents in the following week, Ohio State got the nod. You got to wonder about that. Yeah, the line here is Oregon 7 total. It's up to 75 now. That's when I looked at it about an hour ago. And right now in the coaching world, Urban Meyer is a god. I mean, do you think Michigan would take Jim Harbaugh if? Really, I mean, if this guy was available. But let's look at some numbers here. Ohio State, 13-1. We mentioned the Virginia Tech loss. 9-5 against the bookie. Both of these teams, by the way, very good against the house. How about this? Here's the key. 3-0 straight up as a dog. Forget having the cover. And they win these games, these 3 times they were a dog, by 12, by 59, which nobody saw coming, and by 7 points in that role. Ohio State, very good balance. They run and pass the ball each for over 240 yards a game. So while everybody's talking about that Oregon offense, and it's incredible, Ohio State's no slack here, and they're doing it with different guys behind the center. Let's talk about this one trend, which I can't believe it hasn't come up yet. And I don't know if Zach knows about it, but he probably does, because I get all my info from him. Mariota, the quarterback for Oregon, Heisman Trophy. This trend goes back to like the early 70s, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I bet I do it every year. But it is like 68%. Bet against the Heisman Trophy winner. Remember last year, Zach? Remember Florida State? Big favorite over Auburn. Lucky to win the game. What was it, by 3? I think it was by 3. But the anti-Heisman Trophy thing has been phenomenal against the number. How do you go against Cinderella? Even aside from the Heisman thing. You can go through all kinds of. I mean, look what the Pac-12 has done this year, just in bowl games, right? 5-1 straight up versus what they call the Power 5 conference teams. Tough to ignore that. But I'm going to stick with Ohio State here and take the points. I didn't take them on the money line. The line is now down to 6.5. By the way, I grabbed the 7, and it might even get to 6. Like minus $1.20 or something like that. I think the early money and maybe the consistent money will be on the dog. If it got down to maybe 5, there's always these sharp guys who try to drop it in the middle and they'll lay the 5 or something like that. But for me, it's Ohio State. I simply can't go against this thing that Urban Meyer has pulled off. He's doing it with 3 different quarterbacks. I mean, it's almost like it doesn't matter who he plugs in there. Like Bill Walsh with the San Francisco 49ers, same thing. He just puts these guys in there and they do great. So I think the value in the game is definitely with taking the points with Urban Meyer, and that's what I did. I took the 7. You probably won't be able to find that anymore. Down to 6.5 and maybe even 6. Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, with this game, I'm not giving out a side on it just yet. I've still got some time to think about it, but I will still discuss it here a little bit on both sides of the,
you want me to tell you which way to
spectrum.
You want me to help you out here?
There's 2 sides to this right now that I'm still hindering on. Obviously, it's just Ohio State has so much momentum right now that it makes you want to take them. Urban Meyer, great coach. They're doing good things on offense, but defensively, are they still prepared? Are they prepared to run up against this Oregon system? They have the strengths and balances to just run them off the field, honestly. But going back to the game against Alabama, was that Ohio State's Super Bowl? That's basically it to me. Was that the game for them? Is this extra game going to prove to be too much? My mind says yes, but I can't make a decisive decision just
Looking
yet.
for a letdown.
If you look at, not a letdown
hangover
necessarily,
or something,
but just They're just pushed to the. This is an ultimate push for them, I think. But in that Alabama game, the score was 20-7 or something like that, on the verge of being a blowout. Lane Kiffin, you could say he got in the way of that one a little bit. From
what a surprise!
I'll be kind and let you off the hook with that one, Zach.
He could have opened that game up a little bit, and even defensively, both sides of the ball for Alabama was just questionable. The way they're letting the guy just get down the field and just roast him, it didn't make any sense to me. But Oregon, if you saw that game against Florida State, everybody saw that game.
Impressive.
They looked like they had 15, 16 guys on defense, the way they were flying
Especially
around
in the second
football.
half. Yeah.
And it was something else. No matter what, I was like, I've never seen 8 guys surround a guy to tackle somebody every play. And every play, Jameis Winston, he's doing all he can. He'd get a 7-yard pass, and there was 8 guys on that Florida State wide receiver running back, and they were just swarming the ball. I couldn't believe it. But Oregon, they just have something going right now.
You sound like you're sort of talking yourself into Oregon here, but you don't want to say it. You want to give us, you're not making much of a case for Ohio State. I'm listening to everything you say now.
Yeah,
and your body English, your body language is kind of like.
I like Oregon, but I'm just not going to give out.
I don't know if you want to do the honeymoon thing.
Because Cardell Jones, they just have something going right now. It's kind of like the Baltimore run a few years ago, where they beat New England, they beat Denver, and then they're getting ready to play San Francisco. Everyone's still on San Francisco -4. Who knows?
Don't remind me. I remember that.
But coaching is ultimate, obviously, in this game. I'm sure Urban Meyer's going to have them ready. He had them ready against Wisconsin. They were supposed to lose. He had them ready against Alabama. They were supposed to lose. But Wisconsin, Alabama, and then Oregon. Not sure on that one, so I will post something.
I think you are sure. I think you're holding on.
I think he's quacking.
I think he's sandbagging us here a little.
I will post something in the YouTube channel here before Monday comes up. Still got a 5-6 day window on that. Maybe a prop in my side. I am leaning Oregon, but that's not confirmed just yet. One thing I have noticed on these games, and this will be my last thing here before John goes in, and I do have a best bet on college basketball in 2 days, but 75 points on the total. Almost all the time I see high lines like this, you can take the first half over and then leave the total alone, because I think in the fourth quarter things slow down a bit. Maybe it's a closer game. Both teams are trying to win the game, or maybe Oregon has a blowout and they have the backup in there that is not really that good of a backup from the games I've seen this year against Wyoming and some other games. But who knows? I think you can take the first half over and then let that under for the full game.
Let me just mention one thing. We talked about this, and I'll make this quick. There's no secrets in these playoff games. We talked about, these 2 games are going to be on Sunday, and then this high. These are all marquee matchups, no secrets. And we've talked about propositions, and Zach kind of alluded to it. We don't have them in front of us right now. Like the propositions, we're doing this thing on Tuesday, and the propositions in the okay, put it up there. Right? But we don't talk about proposition, but the fact is, if there are holes in the swing, so to speak, it would be in the propositions. Running backs to gain certain yards. John, you're very good at this. You've done it for quite a while. A quarterback to throw so many touchdown passes or interceptions or rushing and all that. There's a whole host of those. About 5 o'clock this evening Pacific time, I'm sure Jay over there at Westgate will have those things up, and I'll send them out to you guys. But in my opinion, in these kind of games where there's no secrets and they're marquee matchups and everybody's going to watch them, the propositions are the way to go. And I think Zach is right. I think maybe post a couple of those up there, and those are where the advantages are, I think. So.
Well, I'll break the deadlock between you two guys.
Right.
Yeah.
I think he's hedging.
Lying in the weeds. No, this Oregon team, like Ohio State, has been winning and covering games. They're on an impressive 25-10 spread run. But I will look at some problems with their defense and their coaching that has me worried. First of all, when they faced Arizona early in the year, they were a 24-point favorite at home. Lost the game 31-24. Strange game. They only led 7-3 at the half, but in the end, both teams had a couple of turnovers, and Arizona had 495 yards on this defense, including over 200 yards rushing. And then the Michigan State game, when they played that Big Ten team early in the year, they won the game and covered. Oregon did 46-27, but if you watched it, Michigan State was really in command for over 3 quarters. It was 100-degree temperatures, maybe the Michigan State long road trip, and the defense kind of wilted down. But they played the Oregon defense exceptionally well. In fact, they were leading 27-18 in the fourth quarter. And then there's the question of the coaching. I've heard some things about Helfrich not as good in big games, Pac-12 games historically, as Chip Kelly was.
Well, he showed up at the right time. I mean,
yeah, inheriting certainly.
Yeah.
But I have no question marks at all with what Urban Meyer has done. He's been phenomenal. When Ohio State faces a team with a winning record, 33-16-2 against the spread, they're also on a 21-5 run over the total. And the Ducks front seven, they have had some problems of stopping the run. So I will back the Buckeyes in this one with their great coaching staff. In fact, I'll say the Buckeyes win the game straight up, and I saw money.
Whoa, Zach, look out here! Uh-oh.
All right, let's
taking on the brain trust here.
Let's get into some best bets for the weekend. Sean, what do you have?
You know what? I'm gonna stick my neck out here, and this is more of a gut thing, despite the stats and all that. I'm gonna stick with Andrew Luck in this, and they're gonna stay inside the number. Possible overtime match. And winning the game is pretty strong, but there's always a possibility. I rarely take a dog I don't think has a chance to at least win the game. And I think there is a chance for them to do that. Turnovers are key. They can't do it. It's as simple as that. How do you handicap that? So my best play would be take the points with Indianapolis, and I'll live with 6.5.
All right, Zach, this college basketball, actually all basketball runs, 64.
Oh, you're on fire.
24-3 run off a nice 3-0 sweep. How can folks get your plays for this week?
Just out of curiosity, just to touch back on the Bama and Oregon and all of that. What do you guys think the line would have been if Bama Oregon? Versus Oregon? Same line.
We had to do that.
Same line or higher.
We had to do that for these guys on the East Coast with different matchups when it was possible. Let's see, Alabama, Oregon. I think I made Bama by 2.5.
Bama favored?
Yeah,
yes.
by 2.
Ooh, short 3.5.
What would you think? What would you think?
I would have thought Oregon would have been favored, but
based on what we saw last week.
Remember, Zach, we're talking 55 years in the business here.
Yeah.
Of course, I've been wrong a few times.
I was just wondering what you guys thought on that.
I would have made Oregon, Alabama, a very short favorite.
Okay. Best bet. I'm not going to go to the weekend here because we just talked about the 2 playoff games, but Thursday, college basketball. I just looked at some of the games. I think there's a good game between Mercer.
Wait, I got all my pencils.
Mercer and East Tennessee State University.
Wow.
I think the line.
How do you do this?
I think the line will be 3.5 to 4 points on the East Tennessee side. They do have a good tandem at guard, but I think Mercer's playing better basketball over the last 4 to 5 games from when they laid a dud at home against Dartmouth. And I think they're going to be able to come out there and play balanced basketball. Play well against that zone defense and press that East Tennessee has, and I think they might pull out the win. But I think for 3.5, 4 points, if it ends up being that line,
they're going to be a dog.
Yeah, they should be a dog.
Okay.
It should be a dog, and I think we take the points from Mercer.
Do you even know where East Tennessee State is? How about Mercer?
I don't know what city that is.
Yeah,
but, I know Mercer's
incredible.
I
don't know how you do it. Pick these games like you do.
I thought he was betting on Johnny Mercer.
Yeah, with the piano player.
All right, I'll go with a prop bet as a best bet in Monday's game. Cardale Jones of Ohio State over 42.5 yards rushing. And make sure you check out JimFeist.com. Jim Feist has his NFL playoff game of the year going this weekend. You can get it online, or if you want to get it at a discount, you can get it at the phone number on the screen. He hit his NFL game of the year, Seattle 35-6. He hit his NFL total of the year, Tennessee Indy under. He hit his wild card game of the year last week, Carolina Panthers. You can get his NFL game of the year right at JimFeist.com. All right, make sure you check in next week. We'll be looking at more NFL playoffs on ProLine. Good luck with the games, everyone.